Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling one of life's biggest questions, and we're using The Art of Happiness as our guide. This book is just this incredible record of a conversation between the Dalai Lama and psychiatrist Howard Cutler. It really pits ancient wisdom against modern science to figure out, is true lasting happiness actually something we can achieve?
So let's just start with that fundamental question that really frames this whole thing. Is genuine, lasting happiness even possible? It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer creates this fascinating divide between two completely different worldviews.
So on one side, you've got Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, who basically believed the best we could hope for is to just turn hysteric misery into common unhappiness. Wow. But then, on the other side, the Dalai Lama makes this really radical claim. Happiness isn't about luck, it's a skill. It's something you can actually train. And this is the exact conflict that psychiatrist Howard Cutler wanted to explore.
Okay, so let's start with a paradox that I think we've all experienced. Why is it that getting exactly what we want, the money, the success, the dream life, why does it so often fail to make us permanently happy? The book gives a perfect example of this. Just imagine a friend who hits the jackpot. They have a successful startup, make a ton of money, and get to retire at 32. I mean, that's the dream, isn't it? No more work, total freedom. You'd think they'd be set for a lifetime of pure bliss. But here's the reality check. He says that after all that initial excitement wore off, things just, they kind of went back to normal. The new house and the travel were great for a bit, but his baseline happiness level, it hadn't really changed at all. So what is going on here?
Well, psychologists call this adaptation, or our happiness set point. It's the reason why that new car or that big pay raise feels incredible for a while. But then, eventually, it just becomes the new normal. And this raises the most important question of all. If getting what we want on the outside isn't the answer, then where on earth do we look? Well, to find that answer, we first have to tear down some of the common myths we have about what happiness isn't. There's this persistent idea, and the novelist Gustave Flaubert captured it perfectly here, that happy people are, they're kind of shallow, maybe a little unintelligent, or just blissfully ignorant. That real depth and intelligence can only come from a certain amount of misery. But here's the thing. Modern research completely flips this myth on its head. It turns out happiness isn't just some fluffy, pleasant feeling. It's a performance-enhancing state. I mean, studies show that happy people are more creative, they're better problem solvers, and they're way more productive at work. This leads to a huge insight. We have it backwards. Happiness isn't the result of success. A lot of the time, it's the cause. And this brings us right to the book's core argument. Our internal state of mind is way more powerful than our external conditions. And I don't think there's a more powerful or heartbreaking example of this than the story of actor Christopher Reeve after his paralyzing accident. After an initial period of just, total despair, Reeve made a conscious choice. He decided to stop focusing on everything he'd lost and instead focus on what he still had: his mind, his family, his sense of purpose. His story really proves it. Our inner world, not our outer circumstances, is the ultimate source of our happiness. So this idea that we control our happiness from the inside leads us to one of the book's most profound points: the direct link between our own well-being and our compassion for other people. The Dalai Lama's view on this is actually pretty simple. For him, a psychologically healthy person is a compassionate person. He argues that while negative emotions like hatred just destroy our inner peace, compassion does the exact opposite. It kind of opens our inner door, and it dissolves all that fear and insecurity. Okay, but for a skeptical Western mind, this might sound like a nice, spiritual idea. But where's the proof? The book really presses for evidence. Is there any hard, scientific data that proves this link between feeling compassion and our own well-being? And the answer is a resounding yes. In this one incredible study, scientists actually scanned the brain of a monk while he was meditating on compassion, and the result was stunning. I mean, his prefrontal cortex, which is basically the brain's happiness center, it just lit up with activity. The scientific conclusion was undeniable. The very act of feeling compassion for others directly generates a state of well-being inside yourself. And it doesn't stop there. Other studies found that compassion can literally boost our immune systems. And get this, people who volunteer regularly have a dramatically increased life expectancy. The science is clear on this. Compassion isn't just a nice idea. It's a powerful tool for our own health and our own happiness. Okay, so if happiness is a skill we can learn, and compassion is a key ingredient, how do we actually do it. I mean, how do we train our minds to make this our default state? The key here is a scientific concept called neuroplasticity. And what it means is that our brains aren't fixed. Every single thought we have physically rewires them. So when we deliberately practice states like compassion, we are literally reshaping the neural pathways in our brain. This isn't philosophy, it's biology. We can actively train our minds. And the book lays out a really clear 4-step path to do this. It starts with learning, just understanding why states like compassion are so valuable. And that understanding leads to conviction, a genuine belief that change is necessary. That conviction then fuels determination. And finally, determination leads to sustained action. It's a roadmap from theory to practice.
So, how do all these pieces, the limits of external success, the power of our mind, and the science of compassion, how do they all fit together? Well, they point us toward a new and surprisingly simple purpose for life.
The Dalai Lama suggests that when we feel lost, the first step is to just remember how precious our time really is. I mean, we have this one life with this incredible human brain. Realizing that creates this sense of urgency to use our time well. But what does using our time well actually mean? And here it is. This is the ultimate takeaway. The proper use of our time, the very purpose of our lives, is this simple ethic. Serve others if you can. And if you can't, at the very least, do no harm. This is where our personal search for happiness connects directly to the well-being of absolutely everyone else. You know, in the end, the art of happiness shows us that well-being isn't some prize we win from the outside world. It's an art. It's a skill we cultivate from within through the deliberate training of our minds and our hearts. And that really leaves us with just one question. What's going to be the first step on that path for you?